Let's face it, the world of invention and innovation isn't always honest or kind to those who are doing the inventing and innovating. Some of history's greatest innovations were often stolen by other people who just did a better job at presenting their work, and it wasn't until years later that the original inventor was able to reclaim their intellectual property and sometimes even profit from their own idea. Before exploring those inventions, I challenge you to subscribe to have future luxury content. Let's quickly discover 10 examples of famous inventions that were actually stolen ideas that made their creators very rich in the end. Number 10. The light bulb. Most people know that Thomas Edison is credited with inventing the light bulb, but what they don't know is that he actually stole the idea. In 1876, Edison filed a patent for an electric lamp using a carbonized bamboo filament. However, 2 years earlier, British inventor Joseph Swan had already patented an identical design. Edison later bought Swan's patent and took credit for the invention. In 2009, the US Congress recognized Swan as the true inventor of the light bulb. Number 9. Velcro. You know that Velcro is the brand name for those hook and loop fasteners that are used to close everything from sneakers to bags. What you might not know is that the idea for Velcro was actually stolen. Swiss engineer George de Mestral came up with the idea for Velcro after a walk in the woods, where he noticed how boars stuck to his clothes and his dog's fur. He invented Velcro to solve this problem by using 2 strips of fabric with hooks on one side and loops on the other. However, when he went to patent it, he found out that another inventor had already patented it. De Mestral didn't let this stop him. He teamed up with an American company to manufacture the product and launched it as Velcro. Over 60 years later, more than 5 billion feet of Velcro have been sold. It has also become a staple in many industries, including home construction and automotive engineering. The original patent expired in 1987, so now anyone can use the invention without getting permission or paying royalties to the inventors. Number 8. Toilet paper. You may not know this, but toilet paper was actually stolen from the Chinese. The original invention was a piece of paper attached to a stick, and it was used for cleaning up after going to the bathroom. The first person to steal the idea was an American named Joseph Gayety, who created his own version of toilet paper in 1857. Gayety's toilet paper was medicated and sold in packages of 500 sheets. He had originally intended to sell it as a way to make money on long train rides by marketing it as something that would help people avoid catching diseases while traveling. Gayety eventually lost out on his patent rights, and Kimberly-Clark bought them in 1898 before they ever sold any toilet paper themselves. It wasn't until the 1920s when major brands started to advertise their brands with slogans like "Don't be caught short without White King." Even though Gayety invented toilet paper, he never made much off of it because he couldn't afford to keep up with the legal battles. When Kimberly-Clark bought the patent rights, they went on to become one of the largest producers of toilet paper in America today. Toilet paper is one thing we can all be thankful America stole from China. Number 7. Ketchup. Ketchup is one of the most popular condiments in the world, but did you know that its recipe was stolen? The original ketchup recipe was created in 1812 by a man named John Ming. However, it wasn't until 1876 that ketchup as we know it today was created by Henry Heinz. Heinz took Ming's recipe and added vinegar, tomato puree, and sugar to create the ketchup we all know and love. While Heinz didn't invent ketchup, he did invent the modern-day version. Ming never tried to sue Heinz for stealing his idea because he would have had no grounds for a lawsuit. It's clear that not only are many inventions stolen ideas, but many people who steal ideas don't get caught either. Number 6. Postit Notes. Who would have thought that something as simple as a Post-it note could have such a controversial origin story? The idea for the now ubiquitous sticky notes was stolen from 3 Planck math scientist, Spencer Silver. Silver was trying to create a strong adhesive, but instead he created a weak one. His colleague Art Fry had the idea to use Silver's invention as a bookmark. From there, the Postit Note was born. It has grown into an iconic product used around the world. To this day, Silver receives a royalty on every pack of Postit Notes sold and is content with his life's work. He does not feel any animosity towards Company 3 Plank Mass, which bought his patent for only $15 million in 1980. He thinks it's a real compliment that the company recognized the potential in his invention. Number 5. Paper clips. Before there were paper clips, people used to fasten their papers together with straight pins. But in 1867, one man decided to change that. John Dickinson invented the first paper clip, which he called the gem. It was made out of a single piece of metal wire bent into shape. Today, more than 400 million paper clips are produced every day. They have become an essential part of our office culture and even have an official name: the gem. Nowadays, we often use this term to refer to paper clips, but back then it referred exclusively to the gem. It became so popular that by 1899, Dickinson sold his patent for $6,000. However, over 100 years later, two other inventors took credit for the invention. One inventor named William Middlebrook had patented his version in 1890 and claimed that he had come up with the idea years before Dickinson did. The other inventor is Antonio Fazzi, who said he came up with the idea when visiting his friend's factory where they manufactured clothespins. When he saw how many paper clips were being thrown away each day, he started thinking about how much easier life would be if these unwanted items could be repurposed. After Fazzi filed a patent in 1922, it was clear that someone had stolen his idea because the documents contained significant details from his design. Number 4. Sunscreen. Most people think of sunscreen as a modern invention, but the truth is that it was first created over 100 years ago. The history of sunscreen is actually quite fascinating, and it all started with a stolen idea. Chemist Franz Grader discovered the ability to protect skin from UV rays in 1912, but he failed to patent his invention. As a result, his work was patented by an American chemist and dermatologist named Dr. Howard Taylor Ricketts in 1923, making him one of the most famous inventors in history. The majority of sunscreens today are based on this patented formula, which can now be found on every beach in the world. Number 3. Wheat flour. Did you know that wheat flour wasn't always the most popular flour? In fact, it wasn't even considered the best flour for baking. But thanks to a little theft, wheat flour is now the most popular flour used in baking. One of the oldest documented cases of food plagiarism comes from Egyptian Queen Cleopatra, who stole her pastry chef Salman Quassa recipe and claimed it as her own. It's not only humans who steal ideas. Animals have been doing so for centuries. Number 2. The microwave oven. In 1945, Percy Spencer was working on a project for the Raytheon Company when he noticed that the chocolate bar in his pocket had melted. Spencer realized that microwaves could be used to cook food and soon filed a patent for the microwave oven. He would later share his idea with a colleague who then developed it. A similar invention was made by another inventor named Erwin Gerlach at the same time as Spencer's discovery, but Gerlach's model exploded due to an error in construction technique which made it unable to handle microwaves safely. It wasn't until 1967 that a new version of the microwave oven called Rad-Orange was introduced. The first commercial unit cost $5,000, which would worth today $38,600 today. By 1967, they were available commercially and cost around $2,000. This will also worth $14,400 today. Spencer continued to work with Raytheon after the success of his original invention and died in 1975. At the top, CocaCola. CocaCola was invented in 1886 by John Pemberton, a pharmacist from Atlanta, Georgia. However, the recipe for the now famous drink was actually stolen from Pemberton's bookkeeper, Frank Robinson. Robinson is credited with coming up with the name Coca-Cola as well as the iconic script that is still used today. The first year that Coca-Cola made money was 1887, when sales reached $50. It didn't take long for sales to skyrocket and for the company to grow into one of the most recognizable brands in history. Today, Coca-Cola is available on 6 continents and sold in more than 200 countries around the world. Though it may not be popular to admit, many of the world's most famous inventions were actually stolen ideas. From the carbonated soft drinks to the Coca-Cola, some of history's most famous inventors took others' ideas and ran with them. Thanks for watching full content. We will see soon for new topics.